I am the event director and front of the house manager at Cordelia on East 4th, and I also am the co-chair of the Cleveland chapter of Ben's Friends, as well as one of the national leaders of the Ben's Friends organization. I am 8.5 years sober, which is an amazing thing to be able to say, especially with my past. But I was kind of born into the restaurant industry at a very young age. I was kind of immersed in that culture. My mom was a very big fixture in the Cleveland restaurant industry. And then when it came to, finding something to do for work at a young age, I started bussing tables, kind of grew and rose through the ranks, and decided that that's what I wanted to do for a career, which I couldn't be more happy than I did, because I truly love, the food and beverage industry. I'm very proud to be a member of it, even more so being a proud sober member of it. Unfortunately, like a lot of people, I succumbed to a lot of the temptation and some of the not great things about the food and beverage industry. It went from being, something I did to socialize and to have fun, to becoming kind of a routine, which then turned into an addiction, and it became incredibly harmful and very unhealthy. I kept kind of excelling in my career, but my alcoholism, my addiction was excelling even faster. So in September of 2016, I was running a wine bar in Rocky River, and there was like an attic space that I had made like a makeshift bed in the corner of the storage spot. And I got so drunk, I crawled up there while my staff was downstairs working, and I passed out. I woke up to a woman who I called a dear friend and still do to this day, standing over me and telling me how embarrassed she was and how, ashamed of me she was, and rightfully so. I was pretty ashamed of me as well. In that moment, it kind of made sense that if I continued down that path, I probably wouldn't be around for much longer for any number of reasons. So I made the decision to check myself into detox. I went to Lakewood Hospital. I walked into the ER, and I remember looking at the woman behind the glass, and I said, "Hey, I don't know if you can help me, but I'm drinking myself to death, and I don't want to die, and I don't really know what to do. I can't do this alone, nor do I want to try to detox on my own, because you can die from alcohol withdrawal." I had enough wherewithal and understanding of how sick I was to kind of appreciate the very scary place I was in. And I remember she said, "I think we can help you." And they took me in. I was in the hospital for a week. And I'm proud to say I haven't had a drink since. I think that the more people that speak out about their addiction and live a bold life of recovery, the easier it becomes for other people that are struggling. And I think that's why the work of Ben's Friends is so important, because logging into a Ben's Friends meeting or going to an in-person Ben's Friends meeting is such a unique experience, and understanding that not only was there a group of men and women who were struggling against something that a lot of times feels insurmountable, right? Something that many people fight every single day and unfortunately lose their fight with, but also people that shared a love for an industry that I love dearly and chose to stay in it and not leave it because of their addiction. Because a lot of other programs will tell you, well, no, you can't do that. You can't serve tables. You can't be a cook. You can't be around alcohol. You can't run a restaurant. You can't do X, Y, and Z if it's attached to that industry. I just think that's misleading. I think that if someone really has the strength and the fortitude to do it, you can accomplish anything. In my experience, at least, I feel like it's human nature for other human beings to want to help other ones. And there's really some beauty to that. When you connect with somebody who's struggling and you can kind of see the light coming back in their eyes a little bit, or they have that little bit of hope, that sort of work is so, so important. And I would encourage, anyone that feels that sort of itch to do that. There's lots of different places, and I would encourage anybody to just make that step.